Hey everyone, welcome to Logan's Mosh Pit. Glad to have you here. Do me a favor, please subscribe if you haven't already. Yes indeed, time for another rock and read. Today we'll read chapter 27 and chapter 28 of It's So Easy and Otherwise by Duff McKagan. Since chapter 27 has just 3 pages, and chapter 28 only has 2 pages, I went ahead and combined them into one video. Now, let's check out chapter 27. Once the crew was able to take stock of our gear in the wake of the riot, we canceled 3 shows. We flew to Irving, Texas to put things back together, hoping to restart the tour with 2 shows in Dallas. The stage set itself was pretty strong, and for the most part, survived. Our crew called sound and lighting companies to try to reassemble the gear, and we waited for things to come in. We also had to replace the 2 pianos. We looked at venues differently now. In fact, a crew catchphrase came out of the Riverport riot: "Know your exits." We continued the tour the second week of July in Dallas. The first night back, Axel wouldn't go on until 2 hours after we were supposed to start. But it's not as if I went to him and said, "Come on, buddy, let's go." I just grabbed another plastic cup filled with vodka and a tiny splash of cranberry juice, and another, and another, and so it went. At the very end of July, we had a 4-night home stand at the Great Western Forum in LA. We also finally completed the mixing of the 2 Use Your Illusion albums at the same time we arrived back in LA. We celebrated with a 4-hour show the last night of the Great Western Forum run, August 3rd, 1991. It felt awesome for a change. The records were a band accomplishment. We were moving forward together, even if only on vinyl. The rest of the band took off for Europe after the LA shows. I stayed behind for my brother Matt's wedding. Robert John, our photographer, agreed to stick with me and help me make it through the flights. Since I would have to fly commercial to catch up with our band jet in Europe, I needed to fly with a bro, someone who knew about my panic attacks. I gave the best man's toast and then had to leave. Robert and I flew first to Paris and then had to take a smaller flight from Paris to Helsinki, Finland, where we were kicking off the first European leg of the tour. When we went to board the plane to Helsinki, the entire flight was full of classmates. Apparently, in Europe, whole school classes took field trips to other countries. So, there we were, me and Robert in a huge metal tube full of French classmates staring at us. I was so up by the time we took that flight that Robert just put a coat over my head. The fog cleared a bit as we drove from the Helsinki airport toward the band hotel. Ugh, so beat, stiff. I groan. Where am I again? The echo of all those voices. Over there! It's him! Starting to shake. Drink. Just need a drink. A drink. A big one. Room service. A half-gallon of vodka, please. Large bottle. Extra large bottle. Any bottle. And ice. Off to a club. The Black Crows? Why not? Vodka. Surely someone has lined up a connection here. More vodka. Too tired to sleep. But then again, rehearsal tomorrow. Pill. The next night, Axel walked off stage just as we started playing Welcome to the Jungle and disappeared for 25 minutes or so. That was the first show of this leg of the tour. At the 4th show in Stockholm, Sweden, he went to a street festival and watched fireworks before turning up to the gig 3 hours late. When you are an alcoholic, you need your intake or you get the shakes. You time your intake. We'd never go on at 9 when we were supposed to, so I'd time it for, say, 11. But when the wait extended longer and longer, it screwed everything up. A few nights later, Axel's assistant called us in Oslo as we were getting ready for a sold-out show there. He said Axel was in Paris. He wouldn't be playing the concert. I could see right then and there that Izzy wasn't going to last. The cadence of his walk was different now. I saw it as clearly as the lurch of a bicycle with a misshapen wheel. His face was drawn, his eyes blank, his body language exhausted. He had made it with us sober, touring, but he couldn't stand pissing off the fans and torturing the crew. He had to confront that reality sober, and at the same time, he had to deal with Slash, Matt, and me, trying to bury our own frustrations by obliterating ourselves with drinking. This cannot be happening. Head down, bottoms up. Well, that wraps up chapter 27, so why don't we keep it going with chapter 28. I open my eyes. Where the am I? Thirsty as a mother. Vodka? Vodka, vodka, vodka. I sit up, drape my legs over the edge of the bed, elbows on knees, head in hands. I groan. Vodka. Fumble for the phone. I clear my throat and spit on the floor. Into the phone. Ice. Where the am I? That sound. That ominous sound. Scheisse. 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 Not a good word. The change in tone. The bad rumble of a stadium of fans becoming foes. Again. Not again. Please. I throw my full cup onto the floor of the stage. No! I turn around and glare toward the wings of the stage. I hold my thumb and pointer finger far apart and thrust my hand toward my bass tech, McBob. Then I pinch them almost together and gesture again. That much vodka and that much cranberry. I spit on the hotel carpet again and rub my eyes. Knock at the door. Thank. Ice. I pour a tumbler of vodka over the fresh ice cubes. Back in the jet, snort some more. Vodka. Vodka, vodka, vodka. No, Izzy man. No, it's not going down like this. But no. The whole room is vibrating with anger. From within, and more ominously, from without. Scheisse, Scheisse, Scheisse. Mannheim, Germany. Last night, maybe several nights ago now. Nights not slept. They're here for us. They hate us. They're here for us. I can't stop shaking. Give me another drink. I hold my thumb and pointer finger far apart and thrust my hand toward the caterer. Then I pinch them almost together and gesture again. That much vodka and that much cranberry. Not again, Axel. There's no going back from this. I see the line. I'm standing with my toes right on it. Time for a line. Another sort of line. Sober up. I disappear behind a stack of amps. Flying like an aeroplane. Feeling like a space brain. Get me to my airplane. Get me the out of here. Wembley? Vodka. Only an hour and a half gone by since the openers. On we go. I can stand. I can see. Izzy man, this was your band. This was our band. Our gang. This is a battle of attrition. Well, that's the end of chapter 28. Let me know what you thought of both chapters in the comments below. That does it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you next time. Till then, rock on.